Now let's see the different shapes of the rima glottidis at the time of the different phases of the respiration. Here we can see this is the rima glottidis from the superior view, or we can say in the transverse section. So this anterior 3/5 part, it is intramembranous part, and this posterior 2/5 part, this portion, it is the intracartilaginous portion. So at the time of the quiet breathing, the intramembranous portion, it remains in a triangular shape while the apex is directed towards the anterior side, and the intracartilaginous portion of the rima glottidis, it remains as a quadrangular shape, and this assumes the pentagonal shape at the time of the quiet breathing. Now in case of the full inspiration, the intramembranous portion, it remains as a broad triangular space. It becomes more broad, while the intracartilaginous portion, because of the contraction of one posterior cricoarytenoid muscle, which is present somewhere here to the posterior surface of the muscular process of the arytenoid cartilage, when it get contracts, it will carry the vocal process towards the backward side, and this will lead to the abduction of the vocal processes of the arytenoid cartilage, and that's why the lower portion also expands, that is the intracartilaginous portion also expands, and this will make the shape of the rima glottidis at the time of the full inspiration into a diamond shape. While in case of the human being, at the time of the deep inspiration, the large triangular shape of the rima glottidis is assumed. Now in case of the high pitch sound, the intramembranous portion also get come nearer to each other, while the intracartilaginous portion, they also come nearer to each other, and that will assume the shape of the rima glottidis into a linear chink. In case of the whispering sound, the intramembranous part is highly adducted, and intercartilaginous part is separated by a triangular gap, so it will assume the shape of the inverted funnel, and this occur in case of the whispering sound. In case of the quiet breathing, we will find the shape of the rima glottidis as a pentagonal shape, and in case of the full inspiration, we will find the shape of the rima glottidis as a diamond or triangular in shape. Now we have already seen all the muscles, but let's compile the muscles of the larynx and try to understand the actions of them. There are 8 paired muscles and 1 unpaired muscle in case of larynx, so there are total 17 muscles. Out of them, 8 are paired and 1 is unpaired. And these muscles include the cricothyroid, vocalis, thyroarytenoids, lateral cricoarytenoid, posterior cricoarytenoid, oblique arytenoids, transverse arytenoid, aryepiglotticus, and thyroepiglotticus. Out of these 9 muscles, the transverse arytenoid is the only unpaired muscle of the larynx. Now let's see the cricothyroid muscle, and here this is the cricothyroid muscle. We already know that it is going to arise from the outer surface of the anterior arch of the cricoid cartilage, and it passes upward and backward, and it is going to insert over the posterior part of the lower border of the thyroid lamina. When this muscle gets contract, it will lead to the tensioning of the vocal cords. So for the mechanism of the action of the cricothyroids, there are two theories. One of them is the classical view, and second one is the Negus view. In case of the classical view, whenever this cricothyroid muscle get contract, it will lead to the upward movement of the anterior arch of the cricoid cartilage, and along with the upward movement of the anterior arch of the cricoid cartilage, this posterior lamina will tilt towards the lower side, and the tilting of the posterior lamina will lead to tilting of the arytenoid cartilage, which is somewhat present here. It also passes backward side, and this backward movement of the arytenoid cartilage will lead to the tensioning of the vocal cord, because the vocal cord, it is attached at the vocal process of the arytenoid cartilage to the thyroid angle. Now, as far as the Negus view is concerned, this view says that whenever the contraction of this cricothyroid muscle is there, it will make the cricoid cartilage stable, but the thyroid cartilage will tilt forward, and this forward tilting of the thyroid cartilage will tense the vocal cord. Now, the shortening of the vocal cord, it is because of this muscle, and this muscle, it is the thyroarytenoid muscle. This thyroarytenoid muscle, it gets origin from the back of the lamina of the thyroid cartilage and reach up to the anterolateral surface of the arytenoid cartilage. And when this muscle get contract, it will lead to the forward movement of the arytenoid cartilage, and this will lead to the relaxation of the vocal cord. One more muscle is present just medial to the thyroarytenoideus muscle, and that muscle, it is the vocalis muscle, and this is somewhere present here. And this muscle, it is nothing but it is the detached part of the thyroarytenoideus muscle, and these two muscles, they are responsible for the relaxation of the vocal cord. Now let's see the lateral cricoarytenoideus muscle. Here in this figure, this is the lateral cricoarytenoideus muscle, and this muscle, as we already know, it is going to arise from the upper border of the arch of the cricoid cartilage to the anterior surface of the muscular process of the arytenoid cartilage. So here in this figure, this is also the lateral cricoarytenoideus muscle. Now, this lateral cricoarytenoideus muscle, when it get contracts, it will move the muscular process forward, and with the forward moving of the muscular process, it will lead to the vocal process moves toward the medial side, and that will lead to the adduction of the intramembranous portion of the vocal cord. So this lateral cricoarytenoideus muscle, it is responsible for the adduction of the intermembranous part of the vocal cord. Now, this oblique arytenoideus muscle, it is going to arise from the posterior surface of the arytenoid cartilage of one side to the apex of the arytenoid cartilage of the opposite side. And this oblique arytenoid muscle, they are crossing in an egg-shaped manner, and this muscles, when get contracted, it will lead to the adduction of the vocal cord, but this is between the intercartilaginous part. So intercartilaginous portion will get adducted with the contraction of this oblique arytenoideus muscle, while the intramembranous part of the vocal cords, they are getting adducted by this lateral cricoarytenoideus muscle. This oblique arytenoideus muscle, it is going to continue as one muscle which is going to attach towards the lateral border of the epiglottis, and this muscle, it is aryepiglotticus muscle, and this aryepiglotticus muscle along with the thyroepiglotticus muscle, it is responsible for the managing the laryngeal inlet, as we already discussed before. Now, just behind this oblique arytenoideus muscle, there is one more muscle, is transversely situated, and it arises from the posterior surface of one arytenoid cartilage to the posterior surface of the other arytenoid cartilage, and this muscle, it is the transverse arytenoideus muscle, and this is the only muscle in the larynx which is unpaired. When this transverse arytenoid muscle get contracted, it will bring the arytenoid cartilages nearer to each other, and that's why it is responsible for the adduction of the vocal cord. So here in this figure, This muscle, it is from the arytenoid cartilage to the epiglottis. So this is aryepiglotticus muscle. This muscle, it is from the thyroid cartilage to the epiglottis, and this muscle, it is the thyroepiglotticus muscle. This aryepiglotticus muscle, it is responsible for the closing of the laryngeal inlet, while this thyroepiglotticus muscle, it is responsible for the opening of the laryngeal inlet. Here, this muscle, it is from the arytenoid cartilage to the thyrocartilage. So this muscle, it is the thyroarytenoideus muscle. Now, the last but not least, this muscle, it is the posterior cricoarytenoideus muscle, and this muscle, it is going to arise from the posterior surface of the lamina of the cricoid cartilage to the posterior surface of the muscular process of the same sided arytenoid cartilage. And when this muscle gets contracted, it will lead to the movement of the muscular process towards the medial side, and this medial sided movement of the muscular process of the arytenoid cartilage will move the vocal process of the arytenoid cartilage towards the lateral side, and that is called as the abduction of the vocal cord. So this muscle, it is the abductor of the vocal cord. That's why this muscle is very important for the air entry into the larynx, and that's why this muscle, it is named as the safety muscle of the larynx. So it is all about the muscles of the larynx. For the quick revision, let's see the muscles along with the axon on the vocal folds. This cricothyroid muscle is the tensor of the vocal folds. So axon on the vocal fold is tension. This thyroarytenoid muscle and vocalis muscle both act on the vocal folds and do the relaxation of the vocal folds. So these two are responsible for the relaxation. This posterior cricoarytenoid muscle, it is the only abductor of the vocal cord. This lateral cricoarytenoid muscle, it is responsible for the adduction of the intramembranous portion. And this oblique arytenoid and transverse arytenoid both are responsible for the adduction of the intracartilaginous part of the vocal cord. This aryepiglotticus muscle as well as the thyroepiglotticus muscle, these two are work on the inlet of the larynx, and this aryepiglotticus muscle, it is for the closing of the laryngeal inlet, and this thyroepiglotticus muscle along with the passive movement of the laryngeal inlet, this is also responsible for the opening of the laryngeal inlet. So these last two muscles, they are not acting on the vocal folds, while they are responsible for acting on the laryngeal inlet. So this is all about the muscles of the larynx.